This is the Reds Down Under podcast, the best place to follow the Reds in Australia. Enjoy the show.
We are the Reds Down Under, and this is our podcast.
Hello, this is Reds Down Under. I'm Tom. I'm joined by our kid. How you doing, mate?
Bit dusty this morning.
Yeah, we're a bit dusty this morning. We're down in Wollongong. I don't know if you can see the background. We're down here for my mum's birthday. We're not saying the number, but her birthday was yesterday.
And it rhymes with 60.
My mum is actually on the balcony upstairs and trying to get involved in the podcast, but hopefully the microphone won't pick it up. Jack, this week, mate, obviously it's the international break. So in terms of what there is to talk about, we're not talking about fixtures so much, but we are talking about a couple of key things that have happened this week in the life of Liverpool fans. First thing, mate, Mo Salah, his contract, he had 2 years on his contract, or at least a year left, and that contract will be null and void at the end of the season. What was your reaction to that?
I think it's right on both sides. I think it's the right decision for everyone, to be honest. He's not the same player he was last year. We did give him that big deal, and he deserved a big deal. So really what the club have got out of it, they've got him for an extra year. He's got his big money that he wanted and deserves, and then he can leave and leave a legend. It was the obvious thing I saw coming. I didn't see it going any other way. What were your thoughts on it?
I think it's a nice parting ways for everyone. I think there was no way in a month of Sundays the club could have let Mo Salah go last season. At the end of last season, after winning the Premier League, he's had such an amazing season. And let's be honest, if things would have happened different in the European Cup, he probably would have won the Ballon d'Or last season, right? And he was fantastic. And I remember Jamie Carragher said they can't let him go because if they do, there'll be a riot. And I think he was right. But this season, obviously, things haven't quite worked out well. As obviously there's a problem there with the manager, and I've got a lot of sympathy for Arne Slot on the situation because he's dealing with a player who isn't quite the same player anymore. So he's trying to manage that as much as possible. So the friction there is clear for all to see.
Yeah, definitely.
It's there for all to see, and Mo just hasn't been the same player. And to be fair to Mo, he's not the only one. Obviously, the whole squad basically has had a difficult year in certain moments, and there's a couple of players who've done really well. But I think the fact that Liverpool aren't out there demanding big money for the player means basically the player can pick wherever he wants. I think there will probably be a gentleman's agreement with the club that he's not going to go to a competitive team.
Yeah, no big rival in Europe. No one playing in the Conference League where we'll be next year.
Yeah, he's not going to go to Trabzonspor or whoever it is in the Conference League. I think that'll be part of the deal. It'll be, look, don't go to a big team in Spain. Yeah, so I think the big thing is, mate, I think it's an opportunity for the club to sort of just draw a line onto the whole thing. Let the player go. There's not going to be a big transfer fee. Wherever he goes, because there's no transfer fee, it's going to allow him to get a good contract.
Go and get cashed up.
He's going to go and get cashed up. Not that he's struggling with cash.
No, he'll be all right, won't he?
No, Salah. So yeah, I think, and I think the thing is as well, he's on what, 400 grand a week base salary. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to put back into the team. You look at players like, obviously the Kanati situation at the moment is still quite open. He's a player who might get a bit of a bumper deal, and this Salah leaving might have an effect. Szoboszlai obviously is due a deal, isn't he? So, but as a player, mate, what a player he's been for Liverpool.
Oh yeah, like I've watched videos back of his first goal. Was it Watford?
Yeah.
Firmino lobs it over, and I remember where it was. I remember where I watched it. Excuse me, it's very early in the morning. But yeah, what a great servant he's been, and even watching back like his goals against City and United, Alisson's long range ball, and he goes and beats the man and slots it in. And we've been blessed to have Mo Salah, like to have a player of that calibre just leading our ranks and his numbers. He's been so prolific, and I think it's probably nice that they've announced it now, and then we as fans can all just look back on all the good memories and, you know, give him a big farewell when he does leave at the end of the season.
He definitely leaves as one of the greatest players to play for Liverpool. You know, I've got absolutely no doubt about that. He's the best player I've ever seen in a red shirt in terms of consistency, and don't get me wrong, Stevie Gerrard. Stevie Gerrard was an unbelievable player for Liverpool Football Club, don't get me wrong, and is definitely up there in the conversation. But I think for me, in terms of the number of years, the number of numbers, the trophies.
Yeah, the trophies.
The trophies, because at the end of the day, I think that's what the top players are. You know, you look back at Souness and Hansen, players like that, and you say, oh, you know, he won 6 league titles, and it is a big part of the conversation. And Mo Salah will leave with what, 2 league titles, Champions League, couple of FA Cups, couple of League Cups. So
4 golden boots.
4 golden boots.
Yeah. No, it's remarkable what he's done. What he's done for our team, and obviously, like the Klopp legacy being what it is, and you know that kind of being in the rearview mirror. And there are only a couple of players left in that team who are from that, you know, that great period of our success. So look, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt when Veg eventually goes. It all is gonna hurt. And the only, like, I understand why we're doing this. I understand why they're letting him leave and go, you know, choose wherever you want to go. But a part of me does think you could have got 60 million for him or 50 million for him in the summer, because there will be teams out there, like, you know, I'm not talking about like the region, whatever, Saudi, and there is a bit of stuff going on there, but they would pay that for a player of his name and calibre, because again, we lose another one of our great players on a free transfer. Like, it's happening again. It happened with Trent. It happened with, all right, to a lesser extent, Naby Keita went on a free. You know, Milner, Henderson went for buttons. It's like you're losing these players again for nothing. And then with the next thing I'd really like to talk about is the ticket prices. You know, surely, I know it's a bit naive, if you like, to say, all right, well, if we would have got that transfer fee, then that covers that. But it does seem crazy that you'd let someone of his name, stature, calibre, whatever, leave. And then at the same time, you're going, yeah, go on, mate, you go on and enjoy the rest of your days. And then the fans are getting hit with these price hikes, which, like, I understand it's the modern game and what it is, but after being a fan who was in the stadium in December, that place has changed. It is a consumer market. The way they want you in the ground as early as possible to spend all your money in that ground, and the frustration of the fans this season, talking to like all our friends and listeners and whatever at home, it just feels like, yeah, the club's doing the classy thing, letting him go there, and then, you know, hiking the prices up. I just find that a bit bizarre.
Yeah, my first reaction when I seen the ticket prices, I was like, oh, okay, well, the ticket prices I don't think have been raised in a couple of years. I was like, okay. I was looking at it and it was in line with inflation. I was like, okay, well, at least they're not taking the piss too much. But then I was thinking about it, Jack, because the tickets are already expensive.
Yeah.
It's not like the tickets are buttons and they're saying, hey, look, we're going to have to put it up with inflation because, like, you know, we've got to keep up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, our football club isn't Barnsley.
Thank God. Thank God it isn't.
They're not pinching pennies here. You know, we're talking about massive amounts of money. And I just think, you know, we had a big conversation with Neil Atkinson from the Outfield app on our special. So if you haven't seen that, check it out, because you can watch it at any time. Like, we don't really talk about Liverpool today. We talk about Liverpool as a big picture. And we talked about the Liverpool way. And, you know, for me, I look at the way things are going at the minute in the world, and I look at people are really struggling financially at the minute. And Liverpool Football Club are not.
Yeah.
They're doing all right.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a decision that they've made, and it's just the timing is exquisitely poor. I think people are struggling. Gas prices are through the roof at the minute, and people in Liverpool are struggling. They are. We speak to people back in Liverpool, and I know people in Australia are struggling at the minute. People who own businesses, and I was talking to someone who's got a trucking company, and they're like, if this keeps going, I'm just gonna have to shut my business. And this is a business that's been going for over 10 years. And Liverpool's decision to do it at this time, I think it's very poor timing. And I think for the money that they will gain from the decision, they could have waited a year. You know what I mean? And I don't know. The fact that the football team on the pitch isn't great at the minute, we might not even qualify for the Champions League, but we're all going to be paying these higher prices.
Yeah.
And I say we're in Sydney now, but it affects a lot of people.
Just on the flip side of that though, there is always a crisis on the planet. There is always something going on. So I understand they could sit in their offices and go, yeah, but something's always happening, and we didn't raise it last time because of this, and you know what I mean? I understand that, and their counter argument will be, but the junior tickets are still there, and they're £9 a ticket or whatever. But as you've said to me before, how many of these tickets are there? Where are they?
Yeah, we both know mums and dads who take their kid to the game, and the kids aren't on junior tickets, by the way. They've got adult tickets.
Yeah, I can't remember having when I was dad and lad tickets, and we'd go, we'd go on the dad and lad, but I can't ever remember having a junior ticket or knowing anyone getting a junior ticket. It was always mums and dads paying full prices for to take the kids.
Yeah, I'm sure they exist, but I haven't seen one in a long old while. And look, we understand the football club's a business, and one thing I don't know, by the way, is how much consultation went into this with the supporters, because the club sort of made a bit of a song and dance. We listen to the supporters and all that. I think what happens a lot of the time, Jack, is that the club make decisions and just go, let's see what happens.
Yeah, they wait for knee-jerk reactions.
Yeah, and we've seen it with the furloughing at COVID. We've seen it with the Super League, and they went, oh, okay. I don't want our football club to be making decisions and then going, oh, shit's hit the fan here. Let's change that. That didn't happen.
I don't mind that. I genuinely don't mind that, because they're willing to go, all right, we got that wrong. But they are cheeky in the sense that they will try something again. But as long as when we kick off, they go, oh, okay. Because they could just go, well, that is what it is. We've got a business to run. That is what it is. So I like that they will take the knee-jerk reaction. But at the same time, you're alienating your supporters. And look, I understand a successful club does get an influx of outside interest from all around the world, and people wanting to go and visit and be part of it. I get that. And I get that this is people's club and people love Liverpool. But it's the fact that all those fans are treated as just consumers. It doesn't really matter who's in that stadium. They just want that paid for. They just want that ticket paid for. That's all it is. And I think the amount of corporates and stuff inside the ground now, even just outside of Liverpool, Manchester United this week are talking about moving their season tickets around the ground. So there's people who've had season tickets in Old Trafford since the late 70s, early 80s, and they're moving their tickets around the stadium. That's been your seat for, you know what I mean? Or your dad sat there, whatever, your family's always sat in that seat, and they want to move it because they know that's where everyone wants to sit, and that's where they're going to put more corporate seats. How far are we away from the cop getting the same reaction?
Well, look, I'd be surprised if that hasn't happened yet, has it, at Old Trafford?
It's about to, though.
I'd be surprised if that happens. See, you know, Manchester United fans, they won't stand for that shit, right? And Liverpool are the same. So yeah, look, I understand ticket prices are going to rise, but let's not forget we're in a bubble at the minute.
Yeah.
The Premier League is in a bubble, and bubbles don't last forever. And at some point in the future, and this is possible, right? In 20 years' time, 30 years' time, right? The bubble bursts, the money goes, right? And the tickets will drop in value. Because it won't be the best product anymore. It won't be the sexiest product. And if you look at countries around like Italy and Spain, ticket prices are so much more accessible.
Yeah.
It's because their product isn't as good.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's when loyalty from supporters who want to turn up every week, not just because Liverpool are great, but because we're Liverpool. The football club, that's when the football club will need us.
Yeah.
Because right now, it's like they don't need us, actually, is the truth.
Yeah.
I sort of feel about it. But at someday soon, there's going to be a revolution. And if you've got enough money on you, we might be able to buy a stake in our football club.
I think, by the way, I think it's sooner than you think.
Yeah, it might be.
Because Premier League football, especially this season, the quality has not been as good. You are losing superstars. You know, Salah's gone, De Bruyne's gone. These like sexy, big name, attractive footballers, excuse me, are leaving. And I don't know. I think it's sooner than we think. I do think it's sooner than we think.